The new world doesn't want you to work. It wants you to alchemize, and that's the difference you're not understanding. The reason that you keep working towards these goals and your manifestations, yet nothing comes, is because oftentimes you do things out of scarcity. You do things because if you don't, you'll fail. The concept that you believe is failure is really your mind tricking you because you don't want to be seen as stupid by others. You don't want the perception you have of yourself to clash with what other people's perception is of you. And that's exactly what's going to keep you stuck. You don't want to ruin your 2025 because you feel like everything you touch somehow gets messed up. But what if it got messed up divinely? What if you are divinely guided to fail? What if all life is failure and success? If you put yourself in new situations and you fail, that is not a failure. That is a success because you now have the tools in order to grow into the person you're trying to become. And I'm not going to say everything happens for a reason because sometimes things just suck and we have to get over it. But so many things are divinely guided, including you clicking on this podcast or video. Welcome, besties. This is the Improvement for Imbeciles podcast. I'm your podcast host, Natalie Etched. This is where I share ways I'm getting my shit together so that you can get your shit together. And to let you guys in on a little bit of what's going on in my life, I've been pushing myself so hard. And I made one of those total rebrand 2025 videos. And as I was editing it, I was like, this is the most insufferable shit I've ever seen. I didn't even believe what was coming out of my mouth because I wasn't really living it. Because what I believe in is that when you need to reinvent yourself, you'll be called to it. Like, are you reinventing yourself because it's what you're called to do? Are you waking up at 6 a.m. because it's what you're called to do, because you desire structure, because you know it's the next step in order to become the best version of yourself? Or are you just doing these things because you don't want to feel like you're left behind? I started to feel like I was doing things in order to not be left behind. And that feeling of abandonment is self-abandonment. When I perceive other people leaving me behind and this idea that like other people are gonna surpass me, that's because I am moving too fast and I need to slow down and check in with myself. And so I just want you to do that for a second. You've been through a lot this year. And before just jumping straight into 2025 and ignoring all the shit you've been through, just take a second, right? We're in the holiday season. I'm launching this video on the 24th, so if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, but if not, Happy Holidays. This time isn't the most wonderful time for a lot of people. Like, winter makes a lot of people depressed, and if you're living in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope you're having a great summer. Shoot, I wish it was summer because literally our bodies feel when the weather changes. We want to be inside more. We want to isolate. We want to lock in. But it's not always about locking in. Sometimes it's about looking inward. A word that's been coming to my mind recently is obligation. Are you doing things out of obligation? Or are you doing them because you're genuinely called to them? Are you going to that social event because of the fear of missing out? Or are you fearing missing out on your dreams? Look, all I'm saying is you're going to feel the same year after year, rebirth after rebirth, if you don't understand the fundamental fact that you are enough without doing any of that. If you don't decide when it ends, it will never end. And it ends today, okay? Your life living it on hard mode stops today. 2025 is not the year of grind. It's the year of flow. It's the year of conscious creation. Don't you realize that the new world doesn't want us to work in the way that we've been working? You don't need a new aesthetic. You don't need a new morning routine. You don't need to reinvent yourself. But do you want to? Does your soul feel called to it? And if so, this video is for you. So this is how to consciously recreate yourself for 2025. Take an objective perspective on the things that you want to work on, while also grounding yourself in the internal knowing that you are enough and you have been doing enough. You've been doing your best. All of the efforts that you've put into your goals, even the things that have fell through, the obstacles that have come up, your efforts aren't going unnoticed. Self-improvement has gone too far. A lot of this content isn't actually helpful and isn't actually improvement. You are not a self-improvement project, okay? You do not need to be fixed. You're doing just fine. And at the same exact time, there's always ways that you can tweak and improve and become the newest, best version of yourself. And I actually have a free worksheet based on this video in my new free school community, you guys. I'm so excited to announce this. The first thing we're gonna do is something I like to call energy mapping. I want you to take out your phone right now and check what apps you typically use the most. And when that app comes to your mind, what do you feel? Look at your screen time and get out a piece of paper. Write down the apps that you spend the most time on. And here's the important question. Are those apps feeding your soul or are they draining it? Are you scrolling mindlessly or are you being inspired? This isn't about digital detoxing because sometimes we can scroll on social media for inspiration or creativity. Has a good thing gone too far? Be honest about the energy exchange. Are you overindulging? Do you feel like your brain is turning into mush? Like, be really honest with yourself. And I want to give you credit for watching an energy conscious video like this because I have so many different facets of myself. I feel like the Improvement for Imbeciles podcast turned into more of like a productivity podcast at one point, and I genuinely had to sit with myself and be like, okay, is this Natalie or is this what I think the world wants to see? And that's what I see social media does to a lot of you. It puts you in a box and it's all about energy exchange and recognizing what your energy is feeling. Are you feeling tense? Do you feel like you have to take action? That feeling of intensity when we see a video and we automatically need to act on it, it's our nervous system being dysregulated. We're starting to be stressed out. We see something, we see someone doing what we want to do, and all of a sudden we're like, how do I get to that point, right? Your desire is enough. It isn't always about getting to the next level. Sometimes it's about recognizing how far you've already come and then making a conscious plan in order to elevate further. Next, let's look at your daily routines. Not in the way you think, okay, I don't care what time you wake up or if you do yoga or meditate, I don't give a shit. What I care about is, does your current morning routine make you feel supported or suffocated? When you first wake up, do you grab your phone and start scrolling on social media or responding to emails? Are you straight into productivity mode the second that you wake up? And listen, we have all been there, so I'm not judging you in any capacity. Some of you might have heard of the idea that we live in an attention economy, right? If we live in an attention economy, don't you think it's important to pay yourself first? Give yourself the attention that you need and so deserve. Think of yourself as a business entity for a second, right? You're an LLC, you're a corporation, right? Could you imagine how crazy it would be for a business to spend all of its income on overhead expenses without an overhead manager in place to make sure that those costs stay lower and is motivated to keep those costs lower? My business major is coming out, guys, but no, seriously, like, think about it, right? There's overhead managers in place because expenses get high when they're untracked. So if your attention is money, you are waking up and you are spending your money on an energy exchange that it's going to drain you and make you angry and then leave you feeling tired and exhausted before you have even gotten up and done anything. That's literally what you're doing when you're waking up in the morning and checking your phone. It is an energy exchange and we live in an attention economy. You are literally spending money on nonsense. Thinking of it that way really shifted my perspective because I would do that a lot. I would get straight into productivity mode, but I was realizing that my attention is a resource and I wasn't valuing my attention as a resource or like it's money. I was thinking of it like, oh, well, it's whatever. I'll just wake up in the morning and I'll go on my phone and I'll get straight into things like I'm a robot. You are not AI. Okay? You are not ChatGPT. You're not going to respond to things instantaneously, okay? Leave that to ChatGPT. They can wait. Unless it's an emergency, you need to pay yourself first. You need to make sure that you give the attention you need to yourself. Taking time for yourself is not selfish. It's essential for your spiritual, mental, physical, and overall well-being. You are human. You're not AI. Analogies aside, here's what actually worked for me. Instead of changing up my morning routine because some guru told me so and because it's some clean girl aesthetic or whatever bullshit, I don't know, what actually worked for me was checking on how my energy genuinely felt. And I understand not everyone has the ability to do that, but even taking just 15 minutes for yourself, you have to get up at a certain time, that's understandable, but making sure you get up with enough time to give yourself that 30 minutes, that 15 minutes, that 5 minutes, it makes a big difference. I had to ask myself the questions: when do I feel most creative? How do I like to move my body? Do I force myself to go to the gym when I'm on my period or something like that? No, I make sure that I'm in a state that I want to be in, and I check in with myself and my own energy levels. It is okay to be like, not today. That doesn't give you a pass to be lazy, because it does involve some type of discipline and making sure you just go, no, cut the shit, get out of bed. But some days you're just not feeling it, and that's completely okay. Like, that's not going to change in 2025 like that. I wanted to recommend a book that I'm currently reading. It's called In the Flow by Elisa Vitti. It's basically a book about cycle syncing. If you're a woman watching this video, I really highly recommend looking into cycle syncing, because this book has already given me so much insight on how different our bodies are. The idea that we live life on easy mode is far from the truth. We have been lied to, okay? We've been bamboozled into thinking that this 24-hour day is supposed to work every single day for us, when in reality we have a 28-day hormone cycle as women. A man's hormone cycle is 24 hours. A woman's is 28 days. For the women tuning in, think about it. Think about how many times you have beaten yourself up because you weren't able to maintain the same energy levels, and you've just felt horrible because I was supposed to get way more work done, and then a couple days passes and you started your cycle. How often have you pushed yourself to exercise intensely when your body is screaming for rest, or felt guilty for not being productive? This is all lies that we have been conditioned as women, and just as a society in general. This isn't your fault, but this is where the real alchemy comes in. When you begin to cycle sync, this is something that I'm starting to do, so I don't know everything about it, but I notice at certain points in my cycle, I'm more creative. During my follicular phase, I often get into a creative mode. I'll often do more video scripting. Ovulation, I always love to be active. I feel like I reach more of my workout peaks. In my luteal phase, I always like relaxing work, so I usually do more detail-oriented work. In my menstrual phase, I usually do more reflection, and I make sure to rest. This isn't living life on easy mode. It's about honoring your body's natural processes. And for those of you who don't menstruate, the same exact principles apply. I do believe that it's important to recognize why you do the work you do, and also recognize that you shouldn't force yourself all the time. Your soul has wisdom. Your soul already knows what you're called to. Your soul knows if your attempt to reinvent yourself is really just self-sabotage and you tearing yourself down to fit some standard. Don't allow someone else's blueprint of the way they think you should get success change what you truly feel in your soul is meant for you. Let's move into talking about environment, because it's so important. And I'm not just talking about environment in the physical sense, I'm talking about it in the mental sense as well. Look around your space right now. Is it a reflection of how you currently feel? Because oftentimes in our physical space, we can feel really closed in, and all of a sudden there's clutter all around us. We don't actually realize how we're being conscious with our space because we're not thinking about when we leave clutter in certain areas. It de-incentivizes us to keep a clean space. Maybe you're not a dirty person. I, for a while, was more of a clean clutter type of person, where my room itself would be cleaned, things would be wiped down, but then I had clutter that would just form within literally hours. I would feel so frustrated about this. Well, one thing that's helped me is using 15-minute timers to do resets. So when I feel overwhelmed and overstimulated, it typically starts in my mind. And so from my mind, I look around and I go, okay, my physical space is a reflection of how I'm currently feeling. Let me take 15 minutes. I set a timer on my phone, and I clean up my space. And it might take more than 15 minutes, but I start with 15 minutes and I start on a small section. It gets better as you do this more consistently. You'll start to realize when you're cluttering things, and you'll start to naturally put things back in its place. And it won't take as long as an hour hour to clean up your space, it will literally just take that 15 minutes or less. Another thing to ask yourself going into 2025 is, are you holding on to things that you don't really resonate with anymore? Like sometimes you need to do a purge and just go, this is old energy. I don't need this decoration anymore. I don't need these clothes anymore. Like not go full minimalistic, but some things have certain energies or past things attached to them, and getting rid of certain items can be really freeing. You might not know how much it's actually weighing on you, things around you. I really do believe that our physical space can be a reflection of how cluttered our mind is. If you haven't used something in a while, all you need to do is just, throw it out, and it's not that big of a deal. Real change happens when you stop thinking about obligation and fear, and you start making decisions based on energy. You start moving based on intention, because when you set an intention for literally anything you do, I swear to God, something flips. Even if you just say to yourself before going out and getting a coffee, like, I'm getting this coffee with intention, you never know who you're going to talk to. But to wrap this up, here's your homework for 2025. It's short, I won't bore you with it. Number 1, I challenge you to track your energy for 1 week. Not your productivity, your energy. How do you physically feel? Number 2, identify the things you're doing solely based on obligation, okay? Sometimes we don't actually recognize we're doing certain things out of obligation or fear of missing out or whatever the case is, and we get ourselves in a cycle of feeling stuck and feeling like we have to, and that's more of a victim mindset. You have a choice. Number 3, write down what success feels like to you. Not what it looks like, not what aesthetic it is, but what it feels like and looks like to you. If you're wanting to start 2025 getting your shit together with me, I actually made a 21-day devoted challenge. We're not disciplined. We're devoted to our goals and to everything we're trying to accomplish in life, and we're not forcing ourselves into this idea of who we should be, right? As a holiday and a New Year's gift, the first 7 days of the challenge are completely free so that you guys can get a feel on if it's something you're interested in. It's mainly for young adults who are trying to get their shit together. It's a mix of productivity and also shadow work, so it's consciously recreating the habits in your life. We go into things like your morning routine, your night routine, decluttering your space. My vision for this has been guiding you guys through worksheets and videos every single day to start your year off right for 2025, and I'm so excited because I'm going to be doing this challenge along with you guys on January 6th. That's when collectively we're all going to start the challenge. The real glow up isn't about changing who you truly are to fit some standard. It's about removing everything that isn't you. It's about unlearning all of the things that you've been taught to believe about yourself, because I promise you, bestie, it's not true. So let me just ask you one more time, do you actually need to rebrand, or do you just need to remember who you are? Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of the Improvement for Imbeciles podcast. If you guys could go follow me over on my Instagram at mylifeasetch. I'm almost to 10,000 followers on my Instagram. I'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so be sure to comment down below. If you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please be sure to give this episode a rating. Also, subscribe, do all of the things, okay? Like this video, it really helps. Okay, I love you guys. I'll see you guys over on school.